title is 12.2 distance, speed and time, and obviously that's today's date. So I don't mind whether you're just going to take some quick notes now, or whether you plan to take some notes later when you watch the recording, or whether you're just going to follow it in your head and not worry about notes. I think that either way is fine. Now, the key thing with this, if somebody's going along at 100 miles per hour, what you all immediately think about is somebody driving along very fast. Absolutely. But you've got to take on board what that means. It means if you drive for an hour, you cover a distance of 100 miles. That's what 100 miles per hour means. Okay, so if you basically drive for an hour, you will go 100 miles. And then questions will just require you to use your proportional reasoning skills to figure things out. So if we're going at 100 miles per hour, that's 100 miles in 60 minutes, 1 hour. So how far will I go in 15 minutes? Well, that's quarter of an hour. Okay, quarter of an hour. So it's a quarter of the time. So I'm going to go a quarter of the distance. So a quarter of 100 is 25. Okay, so that's going to be 25. All right. Now, how long will it take me to go 300 miles? Well, again, just go back to the starting point. 100 miles takes 1 hour. So if we carry on driving at that same speed, 300 miles is 3 times as far. It's going to take 3 times as long. So it's going to take 3 lots of 1 hour, which is obviously 3 hours. Just waiting for the box to remove. There's a slight lag. There we go. Right, and then again, how long will it take us to do 50 miles? Well, 100 miles takes 1 hour. So it stands to reason that 50 miles, which is half the distance, will take half the time. So that would take half an hour, or 30 minutes if you like. So that's all we're really going to be doing today. It's just using common sense. Start off, if it says 80 miles per hour, write down 80 miles, do an arrow to 60 minutes, and then work from there. So, Phoebe's got a helicopter. Did you all know that? I don't know if you knew that. So her helicopter is traveling 200 miles per hour. 200 miles per hour. So the first fact you would write down is that she will go a distance of 200 miles in 1 hour, and 1 hour is of course 60 minutes. So say the question said, how long will it take her to do 20 miles? Well, that's a tenth of the distance. 200 divided by 10 is 20. It's going to take a tenth of the time. 60 divided by 10 is 6 minutes. So say the question said, how far will Phoebe go in 1.5 hours? Well, 1 hour, she goes 200 miles. Another half an hour, she would go an extra 100 miles. So 1.5 hours, she could go 300 miles. So it's just proportional skills, okay? If you've got a fact, you've just got to go multiply or divide to figure out what you want to know. So let's say we were trying to work out how long it would take Phoebe to go 50 miles. I think I would go back to the starting fact. 50 miles is a quarter of 200 miles. So provided she's traveling at a constant speed, if it's a quarter of the miles, it will take a quarter of the time. A quarter of 1 hour is 15 minutes. So that's all we're doing here, guys. I think we'll do one more example, perhaps. So who have we got next? We've got Henry. Don't mind which Henry. He's driving at 40 miles per hour. So Henry is a very cautious driver. Okay, very sensible. Okay. So he goes 40 miles in 60 minutes. So how far would he travel in 30 minutes? Okay, well, that's obviously half an hour, half the distance. That would be 20 miles. All right. Now, how far would he go in 1.5 hours? Well, again, it's just proportional skills. 1.5 hours is 90 minutes. So I think it would be easier to work that out knowing the 30 minutes, wouldn't it? It's 3 times as long, so he will go 3 times as far. 3 lots of 20 minutes, 20 miles, sorry, is 60 miles. So let's say he had to work out how many miles he would go in 45 minutes. Well, you could go back and do it from 30, or you could do it from 90. I think 45 minutes is half 90, so half the time, half the miles. That's going to be obviously 30 miles. And so on. So I think that's probably enough. I do have other examples, but I think you've got the gist of it. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to stop the recording in a minute. Once I've done that, then you are welcome to unmute and put your camera on if you want. As always, I want you to work your way through the Dr. Frost questions. Again, as always, I have gone and attached those to Teams to where this meeting was scheduled. So you may have run off the questions in advance. It may be that you just don't want to run off the questions and you're just going to work them out on paper. That's absolutely fine. But either way, please do remember, I want you to be uploading these onto the Dr. Frost website now, because I will put the analysis up on my second laptop here, and I can be just seeing how you are progressing. And if you go wrong, I can help you. Okay. I will, again, just like in lessons, I will change the shared screen to being the questions you're working on. So if you get stuck at all, just ask me to just help you with any questions. So just stay as you are for now. Stay muted and stay with no camera on at the moment, just until I switch off the recording. So I'm just about to switch off the recording, stop recording.